Okay guys, so welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to break down today's trade that I took on the NASDAQ. But before I get into today's trade, I wasn't really shocked when price was dropping. As you can see, when we opened at 9:30, price was really dropping. I wasn't surprised because bro, we've literally been overbought. Like we've literally been overbought. We even reached all-time highs, bro. So price obviously needed to, move bearish for a while. So yeah, price was dropping, but I really didn't see any trading opportunities that I could have taken to the downside, and I waited till 10 o'clock before I could actually take a trade. So this was what happened, right? As you can see here, as we were dropping, we ended up taking out this short-term low on the S&P 500, as you can see. Ended up taking out this short-term low there, but on the NASDAQ we didn't. So that kind of created an S&T. But I wasn't still believing that price wanted to go to the upside and take out all these buy side liquidities. Because bro, I had too many conferences that was telling me that price is still gonna become or still gonna push bearish, right? So here you can see here we ended up tapping into this bearish order block right here on the S&P. It was a bearish fair value gap here. Let me just mark this out again right here. So as you can see here, it was a bearish fair value gap. The price tapped into here once. I'm talking about this first tap that we tapped into, right? This first tap here, right? So as soon as we tap into that gap, we inverse this fair value gap here. But I wasn't going to take this trade immediately. Instead, all I wanted to see price do was create a CRSD, was to push below that candle right here, creating a CRSD. And as soon as I saw that, I took my short trade right there. Here's where I took my short position with my stops at this high. My first take profit at this relative equal lows, and then my second take profit at this sell side liquidity right there. But as you can see here, price ended up pushing lower. But what happened at the S&P? We pushed lower. But what did we react off of? We reacted off of this bullish fair value gap here. So price literally just tapped, went into it deeply, and then bounced back up and took me out right there. So price ended up taking me out there, but I was still feeling like we were still going to become bearish. I still felt that bearish momentum in price, right? So I decided to look for another good opportunity to enter short, and it happened right here. As you can see here, we also went higher, like we went deeper into the order block, while price went a little bit deeper, but still below the consequent encroachment of this bearish rally gap, right? So price ended up still going way deeper than this one, than this tap here, and then as you can see here, we inversed this bullish rally gap, we inversed this gap right here. I wasn't looking to enter off of that gap. Instead, I was waiting for price to go below the consequent encroachment of this fair value gap here that got inversed, or this inverse fair value gap. I want the price to go below it, even though we've inversed this gap right here. You can see we have inversed this gap. So I needed to see that more push, more price going below the consequent encroachment of this gap before I take a trade. So I ended up taking that trade right here, into the short position right here. As we're going below that consequent encroachment, my stops at this high. I just felt that fairly enough, we were still going to become bearish. And then my first take profit, this sell side or this equal lows, and then same area target right there. So what happened today? You can see the first trade I took was a loss, but the second trade here I took was actually a break-even trade, right? So this was what I decided to do because I already had a loss. I just wanted to go break even on today's trade, but with a reasonable with something reasonable, right? So what I decided to do was go break even when price takes out this low. So when price takes out this low, I said I was going to break even. And as you can see here, price took out this low. And another reason why I went break even, like I said, is because I didn't want to see price go into this value gap here. You can see here, if I go break even, that means my stops will be inside of this value gap. Okay. And as you can see here, I didn't want to see price go inside this value gap here. I was treating this value gap here as a breakaway gap, right? Because if you look at the S&P 500 too, we've already tapped into this first fair value gap here, but I didn't want to see price retrace into this second fair value gap here. Because bro, you can see here, We had this bullish overlay gap. We also have this candle wick right here, and overlapping also with this bearish overlay gap. So this alone should be what price is going to retrace into and then push the downside. At first, I really thought this was actually going to be perfect because like this is no coincidence when you can see price tapping into this consequent encroachment of this overlay gap here, this bullish overlay gap here, that became an inverse right here. As you can see, the consequent encroachment ended up pushing to the downside. So I really thought this was actually a really good setup right here. Not until price came back to retrace into this gap. But price already did that after I got while I got stopped at break even, right? So because I really didn't want to see price retrace into this gap right here. I wanted it to be breakaway gap. But my stops was already at break even by this point, and I ended up getting stopped out at break even. But as you can see here, we just came back to retrace into that gap, this other block right here, the other block right there, and my first target would have been hit, and then second target, I don't know about second target being hit because S&P has already taken out its sell side liquidity. But yeah, that was basically today's trade, man. Let me see if I can pop out the screen record I took for today's trade. Yeah, so I'm going to fast forward this. If I won this trade, I would have done a walkthrough. But I'm just doing a breakdown just to show you guys the loss and the break even. So right there, as you can see, soon as saw that inverse, I waited for price to go down a little bit, and then I took my sell trade right there. Yeah. So so that was the sell trade I took right there. My first take profit at those equal lows, and then second take profit at sell side liquidity. As you can see here, price literally just bounced off of the fair value gap here. When I saw this huge push to the upside, I was really down on this trade, man. Like I wasn't really more confident in that trade. As you can see here, I ended up stopping us out. And then the second trade was right here. You can see there, we are inversing this gap. We are inversing that gap, which we did here. You can see we already have an inverse of these gaps. And then price will go below the consequent encroachment of that value gap. And then so that was the sell trade I took right there. Stops at those highs and the same exact target. First TP equal lows, second TP sell side liquidity. Yeah, so I decided to go break even as soon as price takes out those lows, which I ended up doing. I went to break even with my stops just beneath the fair value gap right here. Right there, as you can see. I wanted it to act as a breakaway gap. Same thing here, as you can see, we have this bullish value gap overlapping with this kind of wick, also overlapping with this bearish value gap. So I really love the fact that we were really pushing, respecting this gap, not expecting price to retrace and tap into this fair value gap. So at this point on S&P, this should be my breakaway. This should also be my breakaway. This should be what price. This should be what price is going to use to push. This is what price should use to take it lower. But as you can see there, price ended up. Yeah, price ended up stopping me out at break even right there. So yeah, that was basically today's trade I took today. That was today's trade, and that was a breakdown to today. And so like I said, that was basically today's trade, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.